Hey up guys, welcome to the channel. I've spent about 2 maybe 3 days doing the numbers here on like how far I travelled to get the motorhome. And the reason it took so long is because the information's kind of over here and there and in Google Maps or whatever. But my question to you is this: if you're looking to buy a motorhome, how far would you be willing to travel? The next town, the next city, the next county, the next country, the next continent. It boggles my mind when I do the maths on how far I actually travelled. The backstory is that Fiona and I wanted a motorhome and we weren't going to buy one in Tenerife. We had one there. We had one there years ago. And unfortunately, we had to sell her because she was a big old girl, 7.5 meters, and it was a small island. Plus, they're very expensive over there, and you don't get service history, habitation check. What's that? They don't care. So we made the decision. I say we, for us, we to travel over to the UK and find a motorhome. So I packed up the car. That was on the. I'm just referring to my notes here because there's a lot of information to go through. I packed up my car on the 14th and I left Tenerife 14th of November. Got into Huelva on the 16th, about an hour late because there was a storm crossing over through to Cadiz, so we kind of went around it. It was still pouring down when I got there, but at least the wind had subsided. Drove across Spain on the 16th, did 607 miles in a day just to get up to País Basco. That's in addition to the 930 miles from Tenerife to Huelva, but I didn't drive that. And on the 17th, went from País Basco to France, northern France. I didn't quite get into Calais. I thought I'll stop south of Calais and just relax. Found a nice hotel there and just spent the evening, ordered an Uber and chilled out. That was 550 miles. I'll let you do the maths because I've got it all added up later. And on the 18th, crossed over on the Channel or Les Shuttle. That was interesting. I've never done that. And I've done this journey, I think, 4 times previously in an old car I had, both from England to Tenerife and Tenerife back to England. And we always used, or I always used, Armus because that was the only company that was available at the time. But Armus, I don't know if they've improved. I'm not going to give them an opportunity, but it was dire. Literally, it was a terrible trip. But it's there. It's there for the truckers, really, more than tourists. This time I came over using Fred Olsen, and it was a far superior experience, far better. Even got a free upgrade to a bow cabin, which was really nice. So, got through the shuttle. That actually took about 35 minutes. That was great. Best experience. Literally just trundled onto the train, waited around for about 30 minutes, back in the car and off at the other end at Dover, and then drove up to Yorkshire. Now, that was, wow, 390, hang on. No, sorry, 350 miles. So that was from northern France through to Yorkshire. I went up there, I stayed with a friend and stayed there, I think 2 or 3 days or 4 days. Then when I was in Yorkshire, I did 5 trips looking for motorhomes or looking at motorhomes, and didn't find one we liked. Every one of them was either not suitable or had problems. And this brings me to an important point, because if you're looking at buying a motorhome, yeah, you can buy them online. But there's no substitute to being in a motorhome and touching it and smelling it especially. Because if you can smell the dreaded D, it's already too late. I'm just taking it for a spin, seeing what it's like, you know. I enjoyed that experience. Or I did enjoy it. It started to become a task. I'll get on to that in a moment. Then I moved up to Sunderland on the 23rd, and I've lost count, maybe 2 weeks of driving around. There were days where I did 275 miles. The one day that I did 284, looking at various motorhomes all over the north of England and Scotland. Couldn't find one that I liked. More importantly, couldn't find one without damp, and I mean a lot of damp. Now, I understand I'm buying a motorhome that's 20, maybe 25 years old. It's going to have some damp. I understand that. But what I don't expect is an entire wall full of damp and the person asking top buck for the motorhome and pretending that the damp doesn't exist when it's quite obvious the vehicle's got damp. I mean, as one example, I turned up to see a motorhome and the guy had the heating running and he had salt pots everywhere. And it was obvious that the motorhome the motorhome had a serious damp issue. Serious. There was about 2 meters of one side just riddled with damp, and then the entire roof, probably the last 2 meters of the vehicle, completely damp. And I think he was asking £25,000. Nice that, isn't it? Now, while I was in Yorkshire, I did about 391 miles, so not a lot really. While I was in Sunderland, I did 2,154 miles. So the total mileage I have done looking for a motorhome, just looking, I haven't got the motorhome at this stage, 4,982 miles, almost 5,000 miles, literally. The total number of vans that I looked at, have a think about it. How many would you look at? Would you look at 5? Would you look at 10? Would you give up after 15 or 20? Would you still be slogging it out at 25, 30? This guy looked at 38 motorhomes. 38. I kid you not. And of the 38 motorhomes I looked at, almost every one had serious damp issues. And I'm not talking about a high damp reading in one corner, or maybe there was an issue and it's been resolved. I'm talking about serious damp issues. An entire wall or the rear end of the motorhome just completely sodden, wet through, damp. So, of the ones that were good, and by good I mean dry, some didn't have appliances that worked. One, the heating system and the fridge didn't work. And I said, look, I could accept it if the fridge didn't work, but the heating system's pretty critical. I need to get in this van and use it. So what am I going to do? Put a portable heater in it. Others, once I got into the van, I realised it was too small for what we needed. Or they were just asking too much. Sometimes people pay over the odds for something, and when they come to sell it, they expect to get the same money they paid. Well, unfortunately, the bubble's bursting, guys. So, yeah, it took about 4 weeks, and I looked at 38 vans. Wow. I look back at that and I think, why? I mean, every single day I woke up and I thought, should I bother? After looking at so many vans that were damp or damaged or, just not suitable. And every day I woke up and I thought, no, keep going. Keep going, because if you stop now, you might miss the one. And in fact, the van that I'm in, the van that we chose, I actually passed on it because I was going south and I was supposed to go north. And I said, no, I'll go see that another day. Fiona kind of lined it up to look at. She really liked it. And I did too, I liked the photographs. But I'd got to a stage by that point where I was getting really cynical. And I looked at the photographs and I thought, yeah, it's a nice van, but where's the problem? I always look for the problem because I'd just seen so many vans with problems. And I decided not to go that day. And I think it was 2 days later I went to look at the van and I liked it. And there was a minor issue here and there. I mean, it's a 21-year-old vehicle. What do you expect? What I don't expect is being riddled with damp. It had habitation reports going back years, which was nice, and generally in a really good condition. I'm going to do a tour at some point, but she's an absolute mess because I'm doing little bits of work and tidying things up and repairing stuff and cleaning as I go. But hopefully in the next week there'll be a video of. There's no way I'd show the exterior now. She's a proper off-roader. She's got hay stuck in the grill and dirt all up the sides. The tyres just caked in mud. If Fiona could see this van right now, she would say, "What the hell have you been doing?" It looks like it's come off an episode of Top Gear. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. And in hindsight, every mile of that 5,000 miles I did was worth it because we've got a van that we like. I genuinely, and my friends and Fiona, we all genuinely thought it would take a week, maybe two. 4 weeks. 4 weeks and 38 vans. Oh my God. When I think about that. But it was worth it. See you later, guys.